saying you've got to be salaried by a corporate entity or you're not a journalist. I mean, that is outrageous.
It is. It's absolutely outrageous. And she claims, you know, this is because of the Shield laws and we have to be able to define who the journalists are. Well, why? Because the Shield law is set up so that when a whistleblower comes to you and says, here's what's going on in this government agency, you as a journalist are able to talk to them and you're able to protect your source. She doesn't want you to be able to protect your source. What she wants is for you to have to go to the New York Times as a whistleblower and say to them, hey, I have a story I want to tell. Number one, they either refuse to tell your story, or two, they use their sources back at the DOD or Homeland Security or whoever, and they say to them, oh, by the way, this guy is about to blow the whistle on you guys.
Oh, yeah, it's on record that it just is all run by the CIA, folks. I mean, Greenwald had to go over to The Guardian to get his stuff out, and they're infiltrated as well. I'm not saying Greenwald is, but, I mean, it's on record that when you go to the New York Times or CBS or NBC or these guys, that they're simply handing it off to the government. And it's simply amazing that they're doing this, but I don't see any way they're going to be able to stop us no matter how much because they admit cybersecurity has been built to shut down the free web. It's been built to end the free press. Greenwald came out and said, we've been reading over NSA documents a few days ago, and it's incredible. It's meant to shut down the free press and end the internet as we know it and bring in a sanitized control one. That's what Internet 2's always been about for 15 years that the group's been meeting with academia, the European and U.S. Defense Departments. It's the takeover. They're not going to allow us to operate and challenge their lies, so they're going to try to shut us down, folks. This is a war. They obsess over drudgereport.com that they don't control. They obsess over Infowars.com that they don't control. They obsess. Well, the answer is realize they're in an offense against us because our offense is winning and intensify our war. Just go completely ape in the info war and decry it all, because everything MSNBC does, and they're at open White House organ, is they try to define what's acceptable, what's not, who should cover what, who should do what. They're always lecturing other media, lecturing libertarian Republicans. Oh, Alex Jones is evil, don't listen to him. Because the stuff continues to come out and be real and be serious and cause them problems, or don't go to Drudge, don't go to these other sites. They're doing this because they're weak, ladies and gentlemen. The answer is do the opposite of whatever they say. Because I mean, look, I intellectually know that 9 times out of 10, the opposite of what they say is true. But just as an action, whatever they want, don't do it. Whatever they say, look into it, it's a lie. Realize they're not just propagandists. They are criminal enemies. I'm sorry I'm ranting.
No, you're making a good point, though. And look, just take, for instance, what John Kerry just said to the State Department. He was speaking about the Internet, and he said that the Internet has made it much more difficult to govern than at any other time in history. And when he was explaining his remarks, he actually says that during the Cold War, it was a lot easier because of the way that communist countries were controlling information. And he says, and then at the end of the Cold War, it became much more difficult. And then came along, he says, a little thing called the Internet, and it's made it very, very difficult to govern. Well, he's not saying govern, he's saying control. It's become very difficult.
Dictate our life, tell us what to do. Yeah. They meant to build it as a worldwide wiretap. That was really its name, the nickname at DARPA, as you know. And now we're using the worldwide wiretap to take them down. We're using it as, we're taking it over and flipping the script against them. And I'm telling you, they're scared now, and they should be.
Yeah, well, absolutely. And I think as we continue to watch the response from people, and again, this is what's so important, watch the response of the public. The public did not buy into the NSA is okay. The NSA protected us from 50 terror attacks that we can't tell you about, and we refuse to give information to Congress about. You know, the NSA was able to spot this supposed terror threat against embassies around the world the other day. No one's buying this. And so I think what you're seeing now is this kind of this critical moment where the NSA scandal may be, as we look back on it in history, the moment when the American public stopped believing the narrative coming from corporate media, stopped believing the narrative coming from politicians, and started listening to those alternative voices, and the alternative became the mainstream.
And if the people just go, hey, I can make up my own mind historically, I can check into what I want, then it's over. Because then they're not even just listening to us, they're listening to common sense. And that's the big issue here,
Well, you better believe, though, the burden of proof on guys like you and me is substantially higher than it is on mainstream. We have to be able to back up every single thing that we say because we're going to go through the shredder if we don't.
Well, yeah, but it's like Coke saying that aspartame has no bad health effects when there's Harvard studies, Princeton, I mean, there's no debating it. And the stuff makes you fat, and then they're saying, well, it doesn't make you fat. I mean, they're just losing all credibility now because they think the old lie still works. And it may work on people that are like jellyfish, but it doesn't work on a larger and larger segment of the population. We're going to break. I got to come back and ask you to give us tidbits that the NSA is coming after people now. Because I know if you say this, you've got the report, you say it's coming out Monday. Via copyright, and I'm guessing, is it for the symbol of the NSA? I mean, they're saying you can't even talk about them, basically?
Essentially, yeah. I'll give you some more when we come back from the break. Yeah.
Well, I mean, the New York Stock Exchange told us you're not even allowed to aim a camera at our building. And, of course, I know in law that's not true. I'm news gathering. It's a public interest. I'm allowed to show their building. But they go, no, we have copyright. Now they're saying the name, you can't even say it. I'll say it all I want. New York Stock Exchange are a bunch of swindling crooks owned by foreign banks sucking the country dry. On a lighter note, if you're a radio listener, you should know that Ben Swann looks like the long-lost twin brother of Ryan Seacrest. But I guess Ryan Seacrest is like the evil worldly twin, and then you've got Ben Swann, the patriotic, liberty-loving person. I'm sorry, Ben. Ben, because the guys pointed this out, because I didn't really even know who Ryan Seacrest is. I've heard the name. I know he does, like DJ stuff on TV and radio. But have you been compared to Ryan Seacrest before?
Ryan Seacrest many, many times. I'm like the poor man's version of Ryan Seacrest.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, boy. Man, so much is going on. Tell us about the NSA story. I mean, as much as you can.
Sure. Listen, the bottom line here is it's a guy who has a T-shirt company. He's not a big player. He creates a lot of different designs that, kind of poke fun at the police state. And he designs a couple with NSA logos on them. And they're clearly parodies. We're going to show you in the story exactly what the design looks like. We're going to break down for you exactly how it works under rule of law. And this guy's totally covered. There's no question about it. But the NSA doesn't contact him directly, just contacts all the sites where he's posting his merchandise and getting those companies to pull the merchandise down, claiming it's copyright infringement. And this goes back to what we were talking about, that the NSA doesn't have to be able to go to court and say, look, judge, here's what we believe is copyright infringement. We believe that he's infringing on our logo. The judge would look at it and say, it's a parody, you don't have a case. But they don't have to do that.
Plus, for those that don't know, it's a government taxpayer-funded deal. They have basically no rights unless you were trying to impersonate, and then that's a felony. I mean, This is just outrageous, and they admit that's what CISPA and SOPA is about.
That's absolutely what it's about. And so, but that's what is so important for people to understand. This isn't about a T-shirt company. This is about testing the waters to say, how are we going to make sure that we don't even have to prove anything under rule of law? We're simply going to go in and we're going to hammer the small guy. We're going to take away his right to be able to talk about us. We're going to take away everyone's right to talk about us. That's what the issue is here.
You just hit the nail on the head right there. So many people that don't get it go, I don't care if they shut down coal power plants. I don't own that. I don't care if they shut down that guy's T-shirt company. If they can shut down power plants, our power prices all go up. If they can, and then ship our jobs to China. If they can shut down somebody when it's open parody and free speech, we all lose it. I mean, people just need to get, folks, that when they screw somebody else, you're getting it too. I mean, that's a basic instinct of a free people. Can you speak to that?
Well, no, and I think that what the other point there is that you better understand that they don't care about the T-shirt company either. When the NSA comes after the guy with the T-shirt company, they don't care about that. They care about taking steps because remember this, that under our judicial system...
They're trying to block our free speech and shut down political dissent, which they've been doing with the press. They're criminals. I'm sorry, go ahead.
But remember, under the judicial system that we have, judges don't look at the Constitution. The Supreme Court doesn't look at the Constitution. They look at precedent. And so when they go in and take away some guy's right to free speech in a T-shirt company, the judge in the next case doesn't look at the Constitution. They look at precedent and say, well, they took away the T-shirt company's guy's right, so I guess they can do it here too. That's how the system's being played out now. So you better care about the T-shirt company, not for the reason that you might have a financial or vested interest in his company, but that you have a vested interest in your own right.
Oh, that's it. I'm coming out with a shirt that says NSA with their symbol and then Nazi Soviet assault. I mean, I'll do whatever I want. Unbelievable.
Well, and you have that would be a parody under rule of law. That's a parody. It's a little bit different than satire, which there's some legal issues there. But clearly, what you're talking about is a parody. As long as you take their logo, their image, and make fun of it, then you're guaranteed protection under law, but not guaranteed under this current political climate.
Unbelievable. And they're now being caught harassing media, trying to control things. Duh, why do governments spy on people? This is, and then doing fake terror alerts, which they now got caught, were fake terror alerts, but that's back of the newspaper. But it's not back of the newspaper at your website or at my websites. Final segment straight ahead with our guest, Ben Swann, benswann.com. I'm Alex Jones with Infowars.com, and the revolution in real media starts here. We got about 4 minutes left. I want to give you the floor here to get into other issues, things you think should be transmitted to the audience out there, Ben Swann.
Well, I think one of the things that we are trying to do with this project and that we've been looking into, there is such a problem in this country, and I know you talk about this a lot, Alex, of crony capitalism. And so one of the things we're really trying to break through with this project is to help people understand the difference between free market freedom, individual liberty, and capitalism, and the current system we have, which is a crony capitalist system. Some people call it fascism. This collusion between government and corporations in order to control the outcome of things. And so that's one of the things that we're hitting on pretty hard with this project, and we're looking at. But I think there are a lot of things happening right now as you kind of look around the country, and there are some things happening. Obviously, you have big firms like Monsanto, and we're doing some stuff with that. But even some of the things that Apple is now working on, it should be disconcerting to people to see, again, the collusion between government and corporations in order to create these desired outcomes. And ultimately, none of it is done with an interest in your freedom, your liberty, and your rights as an American citizen. And I think we're watching all of that slip away. So through all these headlines that we see over and over and over, I think we keep getting back to the same central themes. And that's where I really hope that people are catching on. There's a theme to all of this. So the story of the day may change, but the theme doesn't. The particular headline might change, but the root of the problem doesn't. And so hopefully we're going to, with other folks like you, continue to break through that.
Look at this headline. The Missouri State Commission has ordered that all rodeo clowns undergo sensitivity training. Yep. So Stephen Colbert can make fun of the president, but they can go pick on one group and now say, you've all got to go pay. I looked it up. It's like $500 in that state to go be taught how to be a good communist, or none of you can work. I mean, This is just so screwed up. It's so Soviet. It's not even politically correct, even though that's a Soviet term. These are authoritarians. How about the government go through Constitution training? How about that?
Well, absolutely. Look, and at the end of the day, the host and the announcer for the rodeo have both resigned their positions, and they're both out of jobs now in relation to this.
And here comes the Secret Service. I mean, this is crazy.
Yeah, they're calls for the Secret Service to investigate. The Secret Service needs to look into whether or not you're making fun of the
Clown
president.
mask Obama, red alert. And meanwhile, all our liberties are being destroyed. I mean, it's just unbelievable.
Well, what's the most unbelievable thing about that is the fact that a rodeo clown in Missouri can get this kind of attention. It's such a non-story, and yet it is like sucking up all the oxygen from all these different spaces. And
never mind the government funding Al-Qaeda and fake terror alerts. Right. Did you hear a guy had a mask on and a bull chased him? That's what they do. The bulls chase the clowns. I mean, obviously it's anti-Obama. We hate this New World Order puppet.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and the thing is, as you said, it almost becomes a rodeo of its own. It's like the rodeo clown now is the story of the rodeo clown, and everyone's looking over here at what's happening, and you're forgetting about the fact that we have, the fake terror alerts going off, embassies around the world. We've got, reports of the arms smuggling from Benghazi into Syria. You have Al-Qaeda in Syria being funded and growing exponentially.
But that doesn't matter. The guy was wearing an Obama mask. Did you see it, folks? NAACP says arrest him. SWAT teams are needed. A family in Dallas had 3-inch grass. SWAT teamed. Ben Swann, great job of what you're doing. Look forward to talking to you soon. God bless.
Thank you, Alex.
You bet. All right.